breaks over the vast plains of the Serengeti like a crack of light in a world that is never quite still. The night does not disappear suddenly. It retreats slowly, as if it knew that here, in this ancient land, every transition is a risk. The night chill still clings to the ground and the damp grass. The dew shines like polished metal on thousands of stems that sway in an almost silent breeze. First, an orange line appears on the horizon. Then a tide of gold advances centimeter by centimeter. The light touches the scattered acacias, the shadows shorten, and the landscape gains depth. Gentle undulations, patches of denser vegetation, invisible trails marked by thousands of hooves. Everything seems peaceful, until you learn what peace really means in the Serengeti. It means that no one has attacked yet. In the distance, a wildebeest snorts and takes a few steps. A zebra shakes its head, irritated by insects. A flock of birds spirals upward, an early indicator that something, somewhere, is already disrupting the order. On this savanna, the day doesn't begin calmly. It begins with vigilance. Here, two titans prepare for war. The lion, undisputed king of Africa, symbol of dominance and silent terror. An apex predator that doesn't always need to run, it needs to decide when to run. Its power isn't just brute force, it's patience, calculation, and control over the fear of others. The roar is the end of a conversation. The hunt, on the other hand, is the beginning. And the African buffalo, the armored warrior that never retreats without exacting a price. A herbivore that defies the definition of prey. An animal that lives with its heart prepared for a clash, its instinct ready to turn an attack into an ambush. The buffalo doesn't just survive. Sometimes it dominates. This is not a simple hunt. It's an age-old battle of strategy, strength, and survival, a clash of wills where every encounter can mean life or death, where a mistimed bite, a miscalculated step, or a burst of panic can rewrite the fate of an entire herd. Welcome to nature's fiercest battlefield, where predators and prey write their histories in blood and dust. This is the ultimate battle, lions versus buffalo. The Serengeti stretches out like a golden ocean under the African sun, but its beauty is a mask. It is a living, dynamic, cruel, and perfectly balanced system. Endless grasslands alternate with scattered forests. Treacherous rivers carve scars into the land, and the kopjes, stone fortresses that rise abruptly from the grass, offer shade, vantage points, and traps. The kopjes are ancient. On them, the rock retains heat during the day and releases it at night. Reptiles seek refuge in crevices. Small mammals hide in hollows. And at the very top, lions sit like statues, gazing at the world with a calmness that doesn't signify laziness. It signifies power. The climate here is a survival clock. Temperatures range from 15 to 35 degrees Celsius, but the perceived temperature changes with the wind, humidity, and dust. In the dry season, the landscape becomes fragile. The grass turns yellow, water collects in increasingly rare spots, and these pools become centers of conflict. The rains, when they arrive, bring an explosion of life, vibrant green, insects, flowers, births, but also trapping mud, flash floods, and deadly crossings. In the Serengeti, abundance always comes with a price. Millions of animals converge here. More than 1.5 million wildebeest, hundreds of thousands of zebras and gazelles follow the Great Migration, an ancient procession etched in their genes, guided by the scent of new grass and the memory of roots that are not taught with words but inherited by instinct. And where there are dams, there are predators. Leopards hunt from the shadows like fur-clad knives. Spotted hyenas patrol in clans, intelligent, opportunistic, capable of stealing what they didn't kill and killing what others underestimated. Cheetahs explode with lethal speed, but pay for that gift with fragility. Nile crocodiles wait motionless in brown rivers, their jaws like living steel traps. Each one is a master of death, but none define the Serengeti like the lion, and no prey challenges the lion like the African buffalo. This is their story. The African buffalo is intentionally bulky. Its massive bodies weigh hundreds of kilos. Muscles are taut beneath dark skin. Its curved horns can fan out like a war fork, and the bony base of the adult males, a solid shield, protects the skull like a natural helmet. That structure isn't decoration, it's the result of a lifetime of shocks. But the true secret of the buffalo lies not only in its anatomy, it lies in its behavior. Buffaloes don't rely on speed. They can't compete with a lion's explosive burst of speed. A lion can accelerate like a bullet for a few seconds. A buffalo can run powerfully. Yes, but it's not built for long chases or sharp turns at top speed. So how does it survive? With solidarity, with masses, with coordination. A lone buffalo is vulnerable. A herd is a mobile fortress. The herd functions as a living shield, calves in the center, females protecting, strong males on the outside. This pattern isn't a nice gesture. It's the difference between survival and becoming food. In the Serengeti, social structure isn't a detail, it's a weapon. And there is another element, memory. For a long time it was thought that such an animal reacted only on impulse, but buffalo learn. They recognize dangerous routes. They avoid tall grass when the wind is against them. They identify watering holes where ambushes are more likely, and sometimes they associate a threat with experience. A male with a dark mane, a marked lioness, a repeated attack pattern. This ability to remember doesn't require human thought. It requires survival. And when they have the chance, the buffalo fight back. A lion gored by a buffalo rarely has a quick end. The wound becomes infected, the pain limits movement, hunting becomes impossible. Hunger arrives like an invisible predator. The buffalo know this, and that certainty makes a herd that already tolerates no weakness even more aggressive. The horizon trembles at his arrival. At first it's a low murmur, heavy rhythmic footsteps. Then a dark mass is silhouetted against the growing light. They are not shadows, it's not a mirage, they are hundreds of buffalo advancing like an oil spill. This is the storm pack. They've earned that name because of what happens when they decide to charge. It's not just a run, it's a phenomenon. The ground vibrates, dust rises, and the air fills with roars that sound like thunder. In the Serengeti, sound is information. Many animals gauge danger by hearing before they see it. And a large herd moving with tension is an alarm that is heard with the body. At the front marches their leader, a veteran bull, enormous, with deep scars crisscrossing his neck and flanks. Some are as thin as knives, others are thick, deformed from old blows. Each scar is a record. His dark, piercing eyes scan the horizon. He doesn't look like a nervous animal. He looks like a commander. He has faced lions. He knows their patience. He knows their tactics. He knows the price of distraction. The herd moves as a single organism. The calves remain in the center, protected by a living wall of adults. The females form a watchful ring. The dominant males patrol the outer perimeter, muscles tense, horns raised, ready to turn fear into violence. That bristling perimeter is a visual message. Approaching them comes at a high price. The formation changes depending on the terrain. In open fields, they spread out to graze. In areas of long grass or near water, they compact together. If they detect signs of predators, they turn to defend themselves. Calves in the center, larger bodies on the outside. The adjustment is quick, almost instantaneous, as if a single mind were controlling the mass. It's not telepathy. It's communication honed by centuries of selection. The bellows carry information. A low tone can indicate a distant threat. A higher, sustained tone, danger nearby, tail twitches, pricked ears, turning heads, all a part of the group's language. In the Serengeti, communication is life. Under the rising sun, the storm pack moves toward a pool. The water sparkles, tempting. But the mud surrounding the shore is treacherous. It holds footprints like signatures. The dampness preserves recent stories. The leader stops, sniff. His nostrils expand, capturing every molecule. The lion's musky scent arrives on the wind, mingled with a metallic trail, old blood, dried meat, a reminder of death. They have hunted here, and not long ago. The veteran bull lets out a low, deep bellow that travels through the herd like a ripple. In seconds, the group adjusts. It becomes more compact, more defensive. The calves are pushed toward the center. The young males step forward, eager to prove their worth, but the veterans know best. Patience saves lives. Recklessness feeds the lions. They approach the water step by step, horns outward, forming a perimeter of threat. The calves drink quickly. The mothers drink without letting their guard down completely. The males watch the line of trees. Every shadow is suspicious. Every rustle of the grass could be a death sentence. 5 minutes of absolute vulnerability. And then, a golden glimmer among the bushes. In the Serengeti, danger doesn't always come with noise. Sometimes it comes with absence. The tall grass barely stirs, as if it were only the wind. But the wind has no intention. The lions do. A small bird changes direction mid-flight. An antelope far away raises its head for an instant and remains motionless. It doesn't know what it saw, but its body knew before its mind. The lead buffalo sniffs again. This time the scent is closer. It's not just lion, it's a lion that's been there, waiting, and it's not alone. The density of the trail gives it away. There are several. The pack tenses up. The muscles seem to stiffen simultaneously. One female turns her head to the right, another to the left. A young male stamps his hoof on the ground as if to defy the unseen. But the leader doesn't rush. He maintains the perimeter. He maintains order. Because when panic sets in, the calves are exposed. And when the calves are exposed, the Serengeti retaliates. The water is still there, shimmering, indifferent. The sun is already rising. The heat is beginning to settle in. The insects are awakening. The air vibrates, and yet everything that matters now happens within a 100-meter radius. Because in that strip of grass and shadows, someone is measuring distances. And when a lion measures distances, it's because the attack has already started in its head. Lions don't hunt like wolves. They don't chase for miles. They don't wear their prey down. Their strategy is different. To get close enough that distance becomes a trap. The open savanna seems to favor the prey, until you realize that tall grass, even on flat terrain, is a visual barrier. At just a few meters, a lion can be invisible if the ground is undulating or if the grass rises above its shoulders. Buffalo have good eyesight, but their greatest defense isn't seeing first. It's reacting as a group when someone sees, smells, or hears something. Not everyone needs to detect the predator. Just one is enough to trigger a group response. The problem is that in the water, attention is divided. Drinking requires lowering your head, and lowering your head means losing precious seconds. The lead buffalo knows this. That's why he keeps sentinels. Animals that don't drink, that watch, that listen, that sniff. The herd rotates these roles without the need for visible orders. It's social discipline made reflexive, but even discipline can fail if the enemy knows the rhythm, and the lions know it. The grass stirs again, barely. A glimmer at the edge of a bush. It's not the sun, it's an eye. A golden eye, fixed, calculating, watching the center of the formation, searching for what a predator always searches for, the weak point. A calf that takes 2 steps away, a mother who turns late, a male that gets too far ahead and creates a gap, a second of confusion. In the Serengeti, the weak point is not an individual, it's a moment. And that moment is yet to come. While the storm pack compacts around the water, the other pack is already in position. There are no roars, no running, no obvious signs. The real hunt begins long before the first leap. Hidden in the tall grass, golden eyes watch in absolute silence. This is the Matata pack. Their territory wasn't chosen at random. Here, routes converge, seasonal pools meet natural ambush sites. Every meter has been defended with blood. Every boundary has been marked with scent, scratches, and warnings that echo through the night. The Matata pack is not young. She is experienced and dangerous. At the front stands the patriarch, a fully grown male in his physical prime, with dense muscle and an imposing presence that commands respect without moving much. His dark mane is not merely aesthetic, it is a biological signal and a social message. The darkness communicates strength, aggression, past victories, and above all, the ability to maintain control. This lion didn't get here by chance. To take his place, he had to drive out other males, survive injuries, and demonstrate the essential, sustained dominance. In the Serengeti, a male who doesn't protect his pack loses respect and then his life. The patriarch does not hunt like lionesses. He does not pursue. It doesn't wear out. Their role is different. To intimidate, intervene, and execute when sheer force is necessary. With small prey, this might seem secondary, but with buffalo, their intervention can determine the outcome. The real driving force behind Matata is the lionesses. 7 adult females, each with a role learned through years of experience. Lighter than the male, more agile, with bodies designed for short, violent bursts. But speed is just one tool in a much more complex strategy. Lionesses hunt with their minds before their bodies. They observe, they assess wind, light, terrain. They identify vulnerability not through obvious weakness, but through micro-errors, one extra step, a minimal separation, an almost imperceptible delay. The lead lioness stands out even among them. Her body bears fine scars. One ear is marked by a past of fights. She has seen successful hunts and costly failures. She knows that hunting buffalo isn't just about hunger, but about extreme necessity. The buffalo is one of the most dangerous prey on these plains. Every attempt is a gamble where the margin for error is minimal. One mistake means injuries. Injuries mean hunger. Hunger means death. That's why Matata doesn't improvise. 3 puppies watch from a distance. They don't participate, they don't approach, but they see everything. Their eyes follow the adults' every move, every pause, every turn, every tension in their bodies. For them, this isn't a game or a formal class, it's immersive learning. This is how future hunters are trained. The Serengeti does not teach patience. Matata is deployed with precision. Several lionesses position themselves downwind. The wind carries their scent away from the buffalo. Others flank from the sides, moving in wide, almost invisible arcs. The lead lioness remains front, but at a distance, controlling the timing. The males stay back, not out of weakness, but for a specific purpose. They wait, they observe, they conserve energy. Their intervention will be brutal, or it won't be necessary at all. The lead lioness focuses her attention on the center of the buffalo herd, a young calf. Just a few meters away from its mother, it's not alone, but it's not perfectly protected either. The lioness's eyes calculate distance, angle, reaction time, number of nearby buffalo capable of carrying, wind, noise, light. The wind changes slightly, it's perfect. Now the scent of the lions fades even further. The sun rises. The heat begins to affect concentration. The moment approaches. The lioness's muscles tense. Her claws extend barely without a sound. Her body enters a tunnel. Prey, distance, attack. 30 meters. 25, 20. The calf takes another step, and the trap closes. The lioness explodes from the grass like a golden projectile. In less than 2 seconds, the distance collapses. The grass parts. The air fills with dust and tension. The calf senses the danger too late. It turns. But the lioness is already airborne, claws extended, jaws open. But the Serengeti rarely allows for simple endings. The mother buffalo reacts with brutal speed. She lowers her head, bellows, and lunges forward. She doesn't flee, she attacks. The lioness must abort the leap. She twists her body, lands awkwardly, and rolls. Her horns pass within centimeters of her belly. One tiny mistake, and she'd be disemboweled. But the ambush was not individual. A second lioness enters from the opposite flank. Dust explodes. The buffalo bellow. The herd responds like a black explosion. Males charge. Females close ranks. Calves in the center. Order turns into violent movement, but not panic. The leader of the storm pack instantly identifies the lead lioness and load. A mass of muscle and horns advances with a speed that seems impossible for such a body. The ground trembles. The lioness runs parallel, trying to use the buffalo's momentum against her, but the veteran bull adjusts. He turns with terrifying agility. The horns graze its flank. Hair and skin are torn off. Blood appears, first wound of the combat. The other lionesses try to isolate targets, but the pride is already completely closed. Every attempt to approach is met with coordinated charges, not one, but several at once. The strategy is starting to fail. The lead lioness gives a low call, tactical retreat, but chaos has already erupted. A young, inexperienced male breaks formation and charges at an adult buffalo. It's a fatal mistake. The buffalo lowers its head and charges. The impact throws it several meters. Before it can get up, other buffalo arrive. They trample, they gore, they charge. The prey has become the hunter. The patriarch's roar cuts through the air. It is deep, commanding, a sound that has preceded countless deaths. Some buffalo hesitate for a moment, but not the veteran leader. He recognizes this lion. They have fought before, and remember, two titans collide, horns versus claws, muscle versus ferocity. For long seconds, neither gives way. The lion tries to bite the buffalo's snout. Its horns keep it at bay. The buffalo pushes, charges, resists. Blood runs through both of them, and then the buffalo abruptly backs away. The lion, pushing with all his might, loses his balance. In that instant, his horns rise and connect with his chest. The impact throws the patriarch backward. He falls heavily, for the first time in years. The leader of Matata has been arrested in direct combat. The pride of lions retreats. The wounded young male will not survive. Buffaloes do not chase. They don't need it. The dust takes a while to settle, as if the savannah were hesitating before resuming its pretense of normalcy. Particles linger in the warm air, clinging to fur, getting into nostrils, covering open wounds. The filtered light blurs the landscape, but reality soon asserts itself. The ground speaks. Deep hoof prints left violently, furrows where a heavy body twisted to dodge, dark stains that are not mud, but blood drying quickly. Hair is scattered like small flags of the clash. And there is a heavy silence because the fight is over, but the war is not. Matata means retreating without running. There's no heroism, just a disciplined movement, a retreat forced by cost. In the Serengeti, running is wasting energy, and wasting energy without food is approaching collapse. They seek shade beneath scattered acacia trees. The midday heat descends like a suffocating blanket, and with the heat comes another pressure, dehydration. The failed hunt leaves not only hunger, it also thirst. A wounded body needs water to remain functional. Behind, the young male remains apart, not because they're abandoning him by conscious decision, but because his body can no longer keep up with the group. The impact broke him inside. When he tries to get up, his legs tremble. His breathing sounds bad, wet, irregular, as if the air were passing through a liquid that shouldn't be there. Each inhalation is a visible effort. The young male does not roar. In the savannah, pain is not announced. To announce pain is to invite competition. It is to communicate weakness, and weakness is an invitation to hyenas, to vultures, even to other lions. A few meters away, the puppies watch. They don't understand death as an idea, but they understand stillness. They understand when a body stops responding. They learn this way, by watching without fully understanding, storing away scenes that over time become instinct. The lesson is brutal. One mistake on a buffalo hunt doesn't leave you hungry, it leaves you dead. The patriarch lies down beneath an acacia tree. The shade is meager, insufficient, but it's all there is. His chest rises and falls with difficulty. The blow from the horns wasn't a shove, it was mass against mass. The energy travels through muscles and internal tissues. It causes bruising, swelling, pain when breathing. Although there are no visible fractures, the body is compromised. And the problem is simple. A predator needs explosive power. It needs a leap, it needs acceleration. It needs to keep its body above its prey. If breathing hurts, every hunting attempt becomes a lottery. The patriarch knows it. His gaze sweeps across the horizon without apparent emotion, but it's not calm, it's calculation. He's gauging how much time he has before his weakness becomes obvious to rivals. On these plains, territory is an agreement sustained by presence. If that presence weakens, the agreement breaks down. The leading lioness also calculates. Her flank is wounded. It's not bleeding profusely, but it's open enough to be dangerous. On the savannah, a deep wound is an open door. Dust, insects, bacteria. She licks it insistently. It's not tenderness, it's survival. The other lionesses show minor damage, stiffness when turning, a paw that bears weight late, a painful side. Nothing is catastrophic on its own, but the cumulative effect is dangerous, and here the central threat emerges. Hunger. Most people imagine hunger as a stomachache. Here hunger is a loss of performance, it's decreased strength, it's aggression, it's failure. A lion can go days without eating, yes, but not without consequences. As the days go by, the energy for quick bursts of speed diminishes. The body uses up its reserves, fine motor skills lose precision, reflexes become slightly slower. Not enough for a human watching from a distance, but enough for a buffalo to turn you into a wound. And a wound is a hunger multiplier. It hurts to move, hunts less, eats less, becomes weaker and gets hurt more. It's a circle. The puppies are the first to show it. Their sounds change. They sleep more. They play less. They cling to their mothers' bodies not out of romantic affection, but because the warmth conserves energy. The lead lioness looks at her cubs and then at the horizon. She doesn't have the option of waiting comfortably. In the Serengeti, procrastination is gambling. When the sun reaches its zenith, the young male stops fighting. There is no drama, no ceremonial ending, just a gradual decrease in effort. His breathing becomes more and more spaced out. His chest rises less. His eyes remain open, but his gaze loses focus. The flies, which at first hesitated because of the movement, land without fear on his muzzle, his eyes, his ears. Death on the savannah needs no ceremony. He needs an opportunity. Hours later, a lioness approaches. She sniffs him. She nudges him with her muzzle. There is no response. She stands still for a moment and leaves. It's a cold scene, but it's real. In less than a day, the body will attract vultures, and the vultures will attract hyenas, and the hyenas will attract more hyenas. The savannah is efficient. While Matata recovers under the acacia trees, other shadows move in the distance. Spotted hyenas, they don't approach immediately. They're intelligent. They understand the danger. A wounded lion is still a lion. But hyenas don't need to attack today. They simply wait. And in the Serengeti, waiting is a form of hunting. The hyenas heard the battle. They smelled the blood. They saw the retreat. They know something has changed. A clan can gather many individuals in minutes if the opportunity is right. They don't need individual strength when they have numbers. And their most underrated advantage is persistence. They can follow lions for hours, waiting for exhaustion or necessity to force them to make a mistake. Matata senses it. The lionesses look towards where there is nothing visible, but they are not looking at anything. They are looking at possibility, future risk. The patriarch slowly turns his head. He doesn't roar. To roar now would be to waste energy and signal weakness. The heat begins to subside. The sky turns orange. The savannah becomes softer to the eye, but more dangerous in practical terms. Temperatures drop rapidly. The air becomes denser. Sounds travel differently, and the darkness begins to offer its main advantage, invisibility. The lions rise. They do it slowly, as if each body had to decide if it was worth moving. The patriarch gets up carefully. There's a brief pause when he puts weight on his injured chest. The lionesses stretch, the cubs follow close behind. They don't have energy to waste on games, they just walk. The lead lioness assesses the group like a commander assesses her unit after a defeat. Not everyone can hunt, not everyone should expose themselves. In a high-risk hunt, too many bodies create noise, disorder, confusion. Precision is key. Choose the ones that are in the best condition. The rest will keep watch from a distance, ready to protect the pups or intervene if an opportunity arises. The patriarch will accompany. Their presence can alter the behavior of buffalo, even though their bodies are not ready for the shock. Night falls, and with that the second attempt begins. In the dim light, the lion's eyes function like precision tools. The tapetum lucidum amplifies the available light and reveals contours where others see shadows. For them, darkness is not blindness, it is their territory. Buffalo have excellent hearing and smell, but their night vision is not as efficient. Therefore, their defense relies more on cohesion, on immediate response, on forming a circle, on discipline. The storm pack organizes itself to sleep near the water. They don't disperse completely. They form rings, calves in the center, females around them, males on the outside, sentinels rotating. It's a system, but even a perfect system has cracks. Fatigue creates them, thirst creates them. The simple act of moving to drink, urinate, or get comfortable creates them. The lions look for cracks. Matata moves as if it weighs nothing. That's the most deceptive thing, a large body capable of producing almost no sound. They place their feet carefully, cushioning their movements with pads, avoiding branches and circling loose stones. It's not magic, it's learned technique. From a distance, the lead lioness can already smell the buffalo, then she distinguishes the dark block. Next, she sees sentinels, and finally she identifies separations. The wind is blowing in our favor. The smell of a lion does not reach the buffalo. That's the difference between attacking and dying. The lionesses fan out. They don't look at each other. They don't need to. Each one knows where she should be. As they shorten their movements, they freeze, belly to the ground, controlled breathing. In the center of the circle, a calf shifts restlessly, forcing a female to move slightly. A minimal movement, 1 meter, 2, insignificant to a human. For a lion, anything goes. The female is just outside the perfect cover for an instant. The lead lioness feels that this moment could be the window. But it hasn't been launched yet, because he knows the buffalo. He knows the trick. If you attack too early, the whole group responds. If you attack too late, the gap closes. The optimal point is a window of seconds, and those seconds don't always come. Finally, the lead lioness explodes. Brutal, brief acceleration. The attack is a shot, quick, straight, leaving no room for doubt. The other lionesses activate simultaneously, cutting off routes, closing angles, trying to prevent the prey from returning to the circle. But the sentinel roars. The sound tears through the night like a knife. The storm rises like a black wave. There is no panic. There is action. The males charge from the outside toward the point of threat, positioning themselves like a moving wall. The females push calves toward the center. In seconds, the gap disappears. The target female runs towards the group, and he succeeds. The lead lioness leaps, trying to hook a flank or neck. But several buffalo arrive at once. Low horns, enormous masses. One grazes the lioness's thigh. The wound reopens, blood, pain. She lands badly, rolls, and gets up limping. There is no chance. The other lionesses face the same thing, a wall, an aggressive perimeter, coordinated charges, not one, several. The patriarch advances. It roars. For a moment, some of the young men hesitate. The roar remains a psychological weapon. But the veteran leader does not hesitate. Recognize the lion, recognize the pattern, and today that mane of hair doesn't mean invulnerability, burden. The patriarch is elusive, not because I want to, because she must. And that evasiveness is a message. Authority is not enough. The hunt fails. Matata retreats silently, swallowing the dust. They don't run, they simply move away with discipline. They conserve their energy, they breathe heavily, they lick their wounds. The pups walk close together. The lead lioness feels frustrated, but above all he feels alarmed. They failed, and the margin runs out. The patriarch lies down under a low kopje. The stone retains some heat. That helps the cubs. It helps them conserve energy. The lead lioness licks the wound on her thigh again. Each lick burns, but stopping would be worse. In the distance, laughter can be heard. Hyenas. They are not attacking. They're just there, reminding them that the Serengeti doesn't just have two sides. It has opportunists, it has observers. And when hunger bites, observers become executioners. The fourth day without food really starts to take its toll. It's not just empty, it's a weakness. The enemy no longer has horns or fangs. It's time. The sixth dawn brings no relief, it brings confirmation. In the Serengeti, time is not a line that moves forward. It is a judge crossing off options. The light appears as always, flawless, golden, cruelly beautiful. But today it illuminates bodies that no longer have the reserves to endure another day of uncertainty. The Matata pack awakens without bursts of play. There are no clumsy chases of puppies after insects. There is none of that brief illusion of normalcy that sometimes seeps in amidst the violence. The puppies remain glued to the ground as if energy were a physical resource that could be rationed. They rise slowly, yawn listlessly, and settle back against their mother's sides. Hunger, when it exceeds a certain threshold, ceases to be a sensation and becomes a state that alters breathing, sleep, and tolerance for exertion. Adult lionesses move with extreme economy. Their bodies are still machines, but machines with worn parts. The lead lioness walks with minimal stiffness in her injured thigh. It's not a visible sign from afar, it's a microsignal, but the savannah is made of microsignals. A microsignal today can be a defeat tomorrow. She stops, sniffs, assesses the wind direction, and moves forward again with the tense calm of someone who knows the margin has narrowed. The patriarch gets up last. The deep pain in his chest hasn't gone away. In fact, that pain has a perverse way of behaving. It doesn't disappear, it settles in. During the night, his body cools down, and when he gets up, everything comes rushing back. The man pauses briefly, almost imperceptibly, when he puts his weight on the floor. He takes a deep breath, but the inhalation is cut short. His body sends him a clear signal. Not yet. He responds with the only thing he has, willpower. He walks anyway, not because he can, but because his role is non-negotiable. A weakened patriarch is an invitation, and rivals are always nearby, even if they can't be seen. Several kilometers away, the storm herd continues its advance. The difference between the two groups feels like a law of physics. The buffalo don't hunt, but their organization is a constant strategy. They move as a cohesive mass, like a single animal of 500 heads. They aren't in a hurry, they aren't slow, they move with a precise rhythm, conserving energy, reducing risk, avoiding overly open waterholes, compacting themselves in areas of long grass. None of it is spectacular, but it's all what keeps them alive. The veteran buffalo leader maintains his position at the front. His presence serves as a psychological anchor. Claw wounds on his forehead have formed hard scabs. The pain remains, but the buffalo's body endures punishment like a wall endures storms. Two females still limp. A bruised calf clings to its mother's side. Nothing stops the advance because the herd doesn't revolve around the individual, it revolves around continuity. But even a fortress has points of weakness. An old male begins to fall behind. It's not a dramatic collapse, it's a slow decline. First, there are pauses of a second longer, then shorter steps. Later, the limp ceases to be slight and becomes a language of its own. The hind leg is infected. The tissue is hot, inflamed, painful. Each step hurts as if the hoof were being set on fire. The male tries to compensate by putting more weight on the healthy leg, but he loses symmetry. And an asymmetrical body is a body that becomes clumsy. The nearby females notice. A couple of them glance over, snort, and move on. There's no aggression, no deliberate pushing, just a biological decision that needs no ceremony. The group continues. The veteran leader turns his head once. He observes, he records, he continues. It's not indifference, it's cruel mathematics. Keeping a straggler behind increases the risk of ambush for everyone. It slows the advance. It forces them to bunch up in terrain that might be best avoided. The Serengeti punishes groups that lose mobility. The old male stops. The sound of the herd moving away becomes a deep murmur that fades with distance. The dust, raised by hundreds of hooves, floats for a moment and falls. And when the dust falls, the solitude is laid bare. Solitude in the Serengeti is not silence. It's an exhibition. It's about being visible from all angles. It is to be smelled by all the winds. It's becoming a news story written in the air. There's weakness here. The old male turns his body into the wind. He sniffs. The smell of his own infection is strong, sour, metallic, and to a predator it's almost an advertisement. He also detects something else, denser, muskier. Lion, not one, several. The buffalo doesn't panic. Panic is useless when options are limited. Instead, it searches for ground. It looks left, right, and spots a low kopje, a rocky outcrop that can provide cover. It walks toward it, dragging its injured leg. Every meter hurts, but every meter reduces its angle of attack. A buffalo against a rock is less vulnerable than a buffalo in open terrain. When it arrives, it positions itself with its back against the rock. It doesn't lie down, it doesn't sit, it keeps its head high, horns forward. The good leg is firm, the injured leg barely touches the ground. It takes a deep breath and lets out a deep, sustained bellow. It's not a theatrical threat. It's a simple declaration. I'm still getting paid. From miles away, the Matata pack detects the opportunity before it even sees it. The lead lioness stops dead in her tracks. She inhales once, twice. The scent isn't that of a whole pride. It's different. Less diluted, more concentrated, and mixed with something predators learn to recognize because it's the scent of victory. Sickness, infection, weakness. The difference is enormous. A buffalo within a herd is a wall of horns, an immediate collective response. A lone buffalo is a different equation, one that can be solved with patience. The lionesses spring into action, not with enthusiasm, but with focus. Hunger, which until now was a constant pressure, becomes direction. One female stays behind with the cubs. Her role now is defense. A clan of hyenas might try to approach if it smells blood. And when the lions are weakened, the hyenas become bolder. The patriarch struggles to his feet. He knows his body isn't ready for a direct confrontation, but he also knows his presence could be crucial in the closing moments, when the prey is exhausted and brutal force is needed to finish it off. Matata doesn't run towards the buffalo. Walk, because this will not be an explosion hunt. It will be a war of attrition. And in the wear and tear, time is a weapon. A few hundred meters away, they see the buffalo. It's standing against the rock, horns spread, head down. It doesn't run away. Its posture says, if you come, pay. The lead lioness watches him for long seconds. She assesses his hind leg, how it bears weight, how long it takes to regain its balance. She assesses his breathing, whether he is panting, whether there are long pauses, whether his chest is heaving. She assesses his attention. Whether the buffalo is following with his eyes or losing focus, it's not an ambush, it's a siege. The lionesses spread out in a wide circle out of immediate reach of the buffalo's horns. One approaches slightly from the left. The buffalo turns its head, another moves from the right. The buffalo turns again. The goal isn't to bite yet. The goal is to force it to turn, to shift its weight, to use its injured leg, to expend energy. The buffalo tries to intimidate with a short charge. 2 steps, 3, dust, horns slicing through the air. The lioness retreats easily. For her, it was a cheap move. For him, it was a costly one. Minutes, then an hour. The sun rises. The heat returns as physical pressure. The buffalo breathes harder. The infection silently drains its energy. It's not just pain, it's a body fighting bacteria, expending already scarce internal resources. The buffalo bellows less. Not because it's losing pride, but because air is hard to come by. The lionesses continue, patient. They take turns approaching and provoking. One approaches head-on. The buffalo lowers its head and threatens to charge. She backs away. Another moves from behind. The buffalo turns with difficulty. Its injured leg trembles for a moment and it stands firm again. Those moments are cracks. The patriarch stays back, watching. He doesn't enter. He knows a horn could pierce his side. With his chest still raw, such a blow would finish him off. His role today is to wait for the moment when the prey can no longer offer a complete response. Mid-morning, the buffalo makes a micro-error. It doesn't fall. It doesn't collapse. It simply misplaces its injured leg while turning. Its knee bends slightly. Its body loses alignment for a fraction of a second and then recovers. For a human, nothing. For a lioness, an advertisement. The lead lioness changes her posture. Her shoulders drop, her tail barely moves. It's a minimal signal to the others. A door has opened. Now the pressure is increasing. A lioness approaches closer than usual. She forces the buffalo to charge. He takes off furiously, 4 steps, 5, but his injured leg responds too late. The buffalo stops, returns to the rock and breathes heavily. Sweat mingles with dust. His eyes remain bright, but something new appears, fatigue. The lionesses aren't in a hurry, but they can't drag it out indefinitely either. They too expend energy. They too are hungry. They too have wounds. The balance of attrition is delicate. They must force the fall without exposing themselves to a fatal blow. Suddenly, the lead lioness approaches from the flank, closer than usual. The buffalo tries to turn quickly, but the turn is clumsy. The injured leg doesn't cooperate. That second is the one they've been waiting for. The lioness lunges and digs her claws into the buffalo's flank. She doesn't bite yet. She clings on. Her weight pulls the buffalo to one side. Another lioness comes in from behind and bites near the rump, trying to unbalance it, not kill it. The buffalo shakes its body and manages to throw the second lioness several meters. For a moment it seems she might regain control, but the price is high. The jolt throws it off balance. The injured leg gives way again. The buffalo kneels on its front legs for a second, rises, bellows and charges with desperate fury. A lioness's horns graze it by mere centimeters. The air cracks like a whip. That horn could slice open an abdomen like cloth. The buffalo continues to fight. And therein lies the biological tragedy. It doesn't give up because it wants to live. It gives up when the body can no longer sustain it. The lionesses circle again. They let him catch his breath just enough to keep wasting it. They provoke, retreat, provoke again. The buffalo spins, 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 defending a castle that's crumbling from within. The sun approaches midday. The heat is intense. The buffalo's tongue sticks out. Its breathing is a deep panting. Flies land on the fresh blood from scratches. The buffalo tries to shoo them away with head shakes, but each shake costs it energy. The lionesses are coming back in. One latches onto its flank. Another bites the lower part of its neck, trying to gain control of its head. The buffalo thrashes, pushes, tries to twist, to hook with its horns, but the rock, which once protected it, now also constrains it. It cannot maneuver freely. Its advantage becomes a cage. The diseased leg is clearly failing. The buffalo falls to its front knees. It tries to get up. It rises for a moment and falls again, not because it gives up, but because the muscle no longer responds. Infection, dehydration, pain, heat, it all adds up. The lionesses sense the change as if it were a new smell. It's no longer a siege, it's closing. The patriarch advances. He doesn't run. He walks with a slow, deliberate gait. He knows a buffalo is dangerous until the very last second. One final blow can kill, but he also knows that if he doesn't intervene, the lionesses could remain exposed for too long, and any mistake in closing the distance would be a tragedy. He approaches from the side, searching for the throat. The buffalo tries to raise its head to hook him. Its horns rise, but not with the same speed as before. The patriarch barely dodges. He lunges. His jaws find the trachea. Squeeze. She doesn't let go. The buffalo bellows with a sound that seems to split the air. It tries to shake the lion, but its body no longer has that explosive power. Its hooves kick the ground. Dust. Mechanical despair. The buffalo's chest heaves rapidly, gasping for air where there is none. The lionesses hold him from the flanks, preventing him from regaining his balance. One bites near his muzzle to control his head. Another hangs from his side. The buffalo tries to get up, but the attempt stops short. His throat collapses under the patriarch's pressure. Breathing becomes impossible. The process is not instantaneous. Death by asphyxiation in large animals is slow. It's not a second, it's a minute, sometimes longer. And during that time, the body continues to fight by instinct. There is no resignation. There is biology. The buffalo kicks, trembles, tries to turn, tries to breathe. Its eyes remain open, alert, furious, until its strength fades like a light losing electricity. First the legs stop, then he lowers his head, then the chest stops fighting. Stillness, the silence that follows, is not solemn, it's functional, because as soon as the buffalo falls, the Serengeti begins to move around the carcass as if it were a bell calling everyone. Vultures appear in the sky, still far away, but already circling. Hyenas watch from a distance. They don't approach yet. The patriarch is there, and the lions, though wounded, are still dangerous. But the hyenas don't need to hurry. Their strategy is to wait until the lions are full, slow down and retreat. Matata feeds urgently. There is no pause. There is no respect. In the Serengeti, when you get a buffalo, you eat it before the entire ecosystem even gets a chance to argue over ownership. The lionesses rip open its belly with sharp tugs. The scent of fresh blood spreads on the wind like a signal. The cubs arrive, led by the mother who stayed behind. They eat first because their chances of survival are slimmest. They cling to the meat desperately. Their bellies swell. Their breathing slows. The lionesses eat quickly, alternating bites with glances at the horizon. Each knows the feast has an invisible clock. The patriarch takes his portion, and the mere fact that he eats changes his state. His body receives resources. The pain doesn't disappear, but now there is fuel to endure it, to heal, to resist. The vultures draw closer. The hyenas move in a semicircle, testing the distance. One laughs in the distance, that sound that seems like mockery, but is communication. They are calling for more. The lead lioness raises her head, her muzzle stained, and observes. He knows that this feast is not the end of anything. It's a pause. Because tomorrow hunger returns, because the storm pride still exists, because the territory remains a chessboard where other lions can appear, because the cubs will grow up and demand more, because the patriarch is still wounded, and because rivals always sense weakness. 60 kilos of meat can disappear in just over an hour when the herd is at its limit. A large buffalo provides a real respite. It doesn't change the outcome, but it offers some leeway. When they finally retreat, they leave behind a carcass that no longer belongs to the buffalo or to the lions. In a few hours, it will belong to the ecosystem, to the hyenas that will tear apart what remains, to the vultures that will clean the tendons, to the insects that will do their part. Nothing is wasted. Death feeds life, and life in turn generates death. Matata walks toward a distant shadow, heavier, slower, but for the first time in days, despair is not his only companion. The cubs, their bellies full, stagger and lie down. The lionesses recline. The patriarch breathes with more control. The night will no longer be a night of utter hunger, but it's still the Serengeti, and the Serengeti never stops charging. The Serengeti has no sentimental memory, but it does have a mechanical one. It remembers with the body. It remembers with the flattened grass that takes days to grow back. It remembers with the lingering scent of blood, even though no one names it. Here, the past isn't stored in stories, it's stored in reactions. The first thing that changes is the air. Even though the lions have moved away, the smell lingers. Damp iron, warm fat, blood mixed with dust. It's a chemical message that travels for miles, invisible yet precise, and awakens something in every predator and scavenger. For some, it's an alarm. For others, an opportunity. For all, an invitation. Vultures appear as black dots in the sky before any animal on the ground approaches. They are the astronomers of death. They don't need to hear the fight. They only need to read the pattern. Lions retreating with heavy bellies, flattened grass around a fixed point, shadows cautiously approaching. But they don't come down immediately. They wait. They know that a satiated lion is still a lion. Patience is also part of their nature. Closer to the ground, hyenas move with an intelligence many underestimate. They're not just numbers, they're calculation, a reading of the moment. If they approach too soon, they pay the price. If they wait too long, another clan arrives, jackals arrive, soft tissue is lost. Then they advance like a tide. They approach, they pause, they test, they retreat, they approach again. Each step is a question. Is it ours yet? The Serengeti does not answer with words. He responds with fangs. Under the meager shade of a copia, Matata rests. Rest is not a luxury, it is strategy. Eating a buffalo, even an old and weakened one, is rare and costly. It is not celebrated, it is managed. The puppies collapse first. Their small bodies, which days before seemed listless, now surrender to sleep with a newfound depth. Belly buttons swollen, heavy breathing. That sound, which might seem like vulnerability, is a sign of something more important. For a few hours, their bodies are no longer in a state of emergency. Before, hunger dominated everything. Now, metabolism can focus on repairing, growing, and strengthening. The lionesses form a living wall around. Some meticulously lick their wounds. Others gaze at the horizon, never quite asleep. Their vigilance never wavers, because the danger doesn't end when they eat. The led lioness lies back with her wounded leg outstretched. The blood has dried, the wound burns. She licks it insistently. Her tongue isn't perfect medicine, but it's all she has. The patriarch steps back a few meters, not out of emotional distance, but because of his role. His chest still aches, but the food changes something crucial. The body stops consuming reserves just to sustain basic functions. Now it can invest energy in repair. For the landscape, that invisible change can be the difference between enduring and collapsing, because the Serengeti doesn't give second chances out of compassion. They only give them if the body can pay for them. Eating doesn't mean dominating. In fact, after eating, the risk can increase. A lion with a full belly moves less efficiently, less speed, less turning ability, less time to react if attacked. Hyenas know this, and rival lions do too. On the fringes of Matata territory, young males patrol like shadows that don't want to be seen but want to see, nomads, outcasts, driven by necessity. They have no females, no pups, nothing to protect except their future. That's what makes them dangerous. They can risk what a patriarch wouldn't. Distant roars are political. A loud, sustained roar says, "I am whole." A weak or absent roar says something else. Absence also speaks. The patriarch roars less, not because he's lost control, but because he understands the risk of announcing his presence while his body is still recovering. Roaring is inviting rivals to test their strength. Today, that's not advisable. Lionesses adjust their habits. They maintain cohesion. They don't stay in one place for too long, because staying leaves traces, and traces are warnings. There was meat here, there is rest here, there is potential weakness here. The Serengeti doesn't need cameras or satellites for surveillance. It needs wind. While Matata rests, the storm pack continues its march. There is no celebration of the previous victory. There is no visible mourning for the old male left behind. There is continuity. The veteran leader walks ahead. A cut near his eye is a clear line. It's not decoration, it's a reminder. He too knows that the Serengeti never ends. The herd adjusts its routes. It avoids overly exposed pools. It prefers areas where the terrain allows for greater visibility, where the grass doesn't obstruct the view, where the wind carries scents ahead of time. These are subtle decisions that seem like instinct, but feel like shared memory. Buffaloes remember. They resemble mud with lion paw prints. They resemble copias from where predators look out. They remember the sound of an alarm, and sometimes they resemble patterns of individuals. They don't think of them as names. They store them as molds. This type of mane, this type of ear, this type of attack in this type of wind. Memory is a social weapon. Calves learn without realizing it. They push each other, butt heads. But these games are rehearsals for strength, for balance, for position. A calf that learns to push also learns to resist. A calf that learns to move within the circle learns where it will be safe when night brings shadows. The storm is not just a group, it's a walking survival school. In Matata, the future sleeps, breathes and grows. Over time, play reappears instinctively. The cubs chase each other, hide and practice clumsy jumps. But even in play, the savannah teaches. A noisy stalk is useless. A miscalculated leap ends in a fall. A bite that's too hard is corrected. The lion's learning process is long. No one is born ready to face buffalo. It takes years of learning, observation and failure. At 6 months, they stalk poorly and give themselves away. At 8 months, they try jumping. Each year, they participate in small dams. They can be useful by the age of 2. All 3 are expected to face real competition. That long apprenticeship is an expensive luxury, and luxury is paid for with constant sustenance. That's why the lionesses are the heart of the organization. If they fail, there is no future. And the calves learn something else, more quietly. The hierarchy of risk. They understand that a buffalo doesn't break like a wildebeest. They understand that a buffalo herd doesn't scatter like gazelles. They understand that the patriarch's roar doesn't always win. This knowledge is stored in their bodies and one day becomes instinct. As Matata and Tormenta continue their dance, the entire Serengeti stirs. A leopard observes from a tree, avoiding conflict. Its strategy is precision and height. A cheetah explodes with speed against a gazelle and experiences its usual tragedy. It can kill quickly but cannot defend itself. Crocodiles wait with ancient patience in brown rivers. Hippos violently mark their territory in the water without needing to hunt large mammals. And the hyenas are everywhere. They are the circulatory system of the Serengeti. Wherever something falls, they find it. Wherever there is weakness, they detect it. They are not second stringers. They are another form of dominance. Dominance through numbers, through endurance, through social intelligence. This diversity of strategies maintains the balance. If one piece disappears, the board changes. But the Serengeti of today is not an isolated capsule. The climate is changing. Rainfall is less predictable. Droughts last longer. Areas that once offered grazing land in certain months now offer only dust. Water sources dry up faster. This forces prey and predators to concentrate in fewer places, and when life is concentrated, so is death. Competition is increasing. Lions that once maintained separate territories are clashing more frequently. Hyenas are becoming more aggressive. Buffalo are traveling more dangerous routes. Calves are being born at less favorable times. The pressure is constant. And then there is the human presence. Domestic livestock compete for grazing land. Roads disrupt migration routes. A lion hunting a cow may be poisoned. A buffalo may be illegally hunted. Poaching doesn't follow ecological rules. It doesn't select the weak. It selects the one that is convenient. Conservation efforts aim to maintain the balance without disrupting it. Patrols, education, responsible tourism, and managing human-wildlife conflict are all part of this effort to ensure the savannah remains what it is. Because if the Serengeti ceases to function as a system, it cannot be replaced by anything else. It gets lost. Evening falls again. The sky turns red, orange, and violet. The shadows lengthen. The air cools rapidly. And with the cold comes the moment when the savannah changes hands. The lions rise, not always to hunt, sometimes just to remind the world they're there. The patriarch, if his chest allows, walks to a high point. The lead lioness scans the horizon. The cubs stick to the group, not because they're afraid like a human, but because their bodies know that the night brings different risks. In the distance, a roar can be heard. It's not just sound. Deliberate. The skin needs constant moisture. A dry stretch can be as dangerous as a predator. That's why the salamander chooses its routes with extreme care. Fallen logs, accumulated leaves, thick moss, anything that retains water is valuable. Its coloration is no accident, it's a message. It doesn't flee quickly, it doesn't need to, its defense is chemical. But even with that advantage, it avoids unnecessary contact. It doesn't waste energy. It doesn't expose itself to the sun more than absolutely necessary. The larvae depend on clean, oxygenated water. An altered stream changes the entire system. When the salamander disappears from a stretch, it's not an isolated event, it's an early sign of imbalance. At the edges of the forest, where the ground dries out and the light penetrates more intensely, the hoopoe introduces a different dynamic. Its constant movement contrasts with the stillness of other animals. It doesn't stay in one place for long. It explores, it observes, it digs. Its long beak is a precision tool. It searches for insects where others cannot reach, crevices, loose soil, logs. Each capture is swift, each pause is brief. The environment allows no lingering distractions. The hoopoe does not dominate the territory, it connects it. Its presence indicates transit, flow, relationship between different spaces. Wild Switzerland doesn't function through isolated scenes. It functions as a system of overlapping tensions. Each organism responds to different challenges, but they are all connected by the same factor. The margin for error is minimal. Nothing here happens without consequences. And while all this is happening in silence, the climate is preparing to change again, because in these mountains, stability never lasts too long.